back we go. Back we go. So right now we are in the process of doing Korlex for milk, for casein. That will be used to make raw fiber. That will be used for a variety of things, but in particular will be used for bedding. And we still need to dive down the rabbit holes on the improved Grodd and Yotoi recipes for the bedding. So we still have that to look forward to as well. And then the bedding will be used, again, for a variety of things, but also for cotton gut recipes. I think all the cotton gut recipes, all of them, will use bedding. But in particular, the one that I want to do that outputs 21, and that does not... Wait. That requires not growth factor at stage 4? That would be the one that I would want to do in the end. But, and I actually haven't looked at growth factor. Have you modified this to, like, output 1,000,000? That puts 60. But I think still the answer for me is going to be no. I think I'm still at a no, even at 60. I was not kidding, but when I said unless it outputs 1,000,000, I'm probably not interested in growth factor. It would need to be even like 200, like 200. Yeah, that'd be the output that I would even consider using it. But anyway, in the meantime, until I really have a good look at growth factor, might be worth it at 60. We shall see. In the end, but until I really have a good look at that, and all that's at purple science anyway, so I can't. It's going to be a while before purple. This is the best I have access to. This requires bedding. Every other lesser with food requires bedding. So we're doing bedding. We're doing bedding, and also the quality cotton gut food is Renea. So eventually we're going to have to get into Renea and the Moondrops. Still waiting on the Moondrop Mark II overhaul. Mark level upgrading overhaul of the modules. Need to come up with a better name for that. Also, I need a... I don't have any radars on me. What? I almost always carry around a stack of radars. Oh well. Right, sap. I need one whole sap extractor. After all that, and one whole soil extractor, giving me soil. I may as well have that, like, there. Sure. Why not? And we'll build to be able to scale. We shall build so that I can scale. Whee! And then it goes up. There. Into a glorious washer. To make creamy latex, which again is going to also need... I'm actually going to do it like this. Also needs water. Oh, that's fine. I'll deal with it. This will scale. Trust me, this will be able to scale. It will be able to scale. Not that well, but it'll be able to scale. Especially if I do it that way. Yeah. Yeah. Scale. Beautiful, glorious scaling. And that goes into one of these. It is just one, right? I'm doing this without my production block. And that goes into one of these. To give me an amount of beautiful, glorious compost biomass. An amount of biomass. And of course, I just need to, like, give power. Give the power. Oh joy, oh bliss, the power. It lives! And then some of this biomass, but not all, goes into a beautiful and glorious high pressure furnace. Making CO2 out of biomass. Yay! CO2. Beautiful. And that CO2 is going to be used where? For the moss. Yes, for the moss! For the moss! Moss farm. On the most basic of basic recipes. Also needs water. Also needs this stuff known as water. Sure. We'll go with that. Why no, stuffs? Oh, because that's the wrong recipe. Duh. I play this game sometimes. On occasion. There we go. The moss shall flow. Moss biomass. Yeah, the moss shall very much flow. Into Augs, which will also have cages. With thingies. Oh gosh, I need the thingies. The thingies will be from there, I guess. From there. Barrels of water. That's the thingies that I'm referring to. Barrels of water. We need 2 whole og paddocks. 2. Grand total of 2 og paddocks on this build. Remembering that ultimately this build is designed to get to 20 raw fiber per second. So do bear in mind that literally everything I'm building right now will result, ultimately, in 20 raw fiber. And then we will make the determination as to whether or not it was actually worth it in the end. Is 20 raw fiber going to actually be worth it in the end? This is going to filter Oh, I didn't grab the steel either. Oh boy. Barrel. Empty barrels. Barrels the empty. Into you. You are going to give me barrels the full of water. Yeah, that's a shame. I'm gonna need more barrels of water. I need it twice. That is a great point. I think I'd rather do it individually with two separate buildings. Just because there's way too much there's way too much of a chance of things just getting bogged down and stuck because of having too many barrels in the system. There is such a thing as having too many barrels in the system, causing things to choke. Ask me how I know. I know this from experience. That yes, that will cause issues. So outside of doing absolute unnecessary amounts of shenanigans with circuit conditions, I think I prefer my way here a bit better. This is why I did not move one step to the right yet. This is why we have long reach. By the way, in case you're wondering, this is why long reach exists. I have long reach research upgrades, which I've modified. I think I modified this one myself to work on 0.18. I don't know if the particular version I'm using has been updated for 0.18 ever. And I don't know if there's been any version that has been updated for 0.18. Sadly. Any hoozle. Stuff. Things. And more stuff that way. Do I really want it to be that far down, though? Not particularly. We have so many things that are going to be filling up this minibus that we're going to make as little extra stuff here as I can. I'm going to try to keep it reasonable. So this is going to be the caged og. If that wasn't clear, this will be caged og. Excuse me. This will be caged og. Just add water barrels. Stuffs. And these caged og are going to be slaughtered for their meat. We are quite literally slaughtering a creature for its meat. Yay. One of the few times I'm actually slaughtering for its meat. Beautiful Augs. I need this. This will also output cages. You know, it would actually be easier if it didn't give us back the cages. Like, that would get rid of so many headaches if it didn't. Excuse me? Oh. It's singular. If it didn't actually output the cages. Because what I have to do now is do like an input priority on a counter line to route the cages back in. This saves a ton of resources. Don't get me wrong. This is great because it keeps the expenditure of the actual cost of the cages down by being able to loop back cages, but having to loop back the cages every single time with every single creature is a little annoying. One of those things where you have to weigh the tedium of doing it versus the efficiency it gives, and unfortunately it gives so much efficiency that I have to do it every time. I just wish I didn't have to do it every time. Anyway. Now we have meat. Beautiful and glorious meat. Bought it, I could, but that sort of goes against my design philosophy for the majority of this base. The only thing in this base, besides the mall, using bots is the sulfur build out here. The sulfur mines use bots because screw using belts like for that mess when everything needs a fuel and outputs high volume ish, not even that, not too particularly high volume per sulfur mine, but you sort of get the idea. Here is this needs, each and every single one of these would need a belt of fuel in and the belt of sulfur out, right? That would be a mess. An absolute mess of belt. Worse of a mess than this mess. Because this salt is a bit of a mess of a belt setup. It's like, it's a little messy, but it ends up looking quite nice just because of the spacing between the salt mines. These are big salt mines. They are further apart, and it ends up looking decently just because you can straighten everything out. You've got the space to straighten everything out. This over here, much smaller mines, much more closely spaced. No. Bots. Bots for that, but not bots for this. This, no. I avoid the bot usage at all opportunities just because we're not running the game at 2x anymore. We are running the game at 1.5 at best. A little higher than 1.5. I am telling the game to try to run it at 120 frames or 2 times game speed. It's hardly staying above 1.5 right now. And that is, I'd say 80-ish% of that is just the Logibots. Like, most of the loss in UPS here is most likely just the Logibots doing their thing in the mall. Like, if I didn't have any robots at all, we would likely still be up at 120 right now. Just if everything was belt and nothing was bots, we would have much higher performance than this right now. It's just we're using at all times about 1,400 robots, Logibots, 1,400 Logibots doing things, running calculations every second. And that's a bit much as I die, as my throat dies. Ow. I hate the sharp pain that can happen. Anyway, moving right along. So we've gotten to here. By the way, we've gotten to here. I think I have enough of an excess of the biomass to do the steam here. By the way, do I have a... Of course, I probably don't have a thingy. I should have a stack of these. Yeah, that will be that. So you will make... so while I have the meat here, the meat's going to get used much further down on the actual Korlex food. So for now, I am going to be doing the kickalk. And the kickalk is going to need sand and clay. I didn't actually put thingy for sand, but 0.33 sand. One washer with one soil extractor feeding it soil is going to be enough for that. This is going to need the biomass. So the biomass. I did say that I was going to try to keep this at least semi-sane, right? In terms of the amount of belt that this is using. The width. Height, I guess, in this case. Not all the way down, what am I thinking? Do I split it here? I guess. There we go. That'll give me steam for the one clay pit. Clay pits also have that ability where they share the steam. Not quite intentional, but it's been part of the clay pit mechanics since like the beginning. They share steam. Again, I think it's because the ports themselves just haven't been defined exclusively as input ports. They're just fluid box, just fluid ports. But I personally wouldn't change it. It makes sense that they would share on their biomass. So, water, right? Water. It needs water to function. To give you steam, you sort of need water to boil to make steam. You sort of need the water to heat to make the steam. So clay. And then why this even needs steam to begin with? It's like, okay, we're running a steam powered, quote unquote, a steam powered machine that's just literally drilling the ground beneath you to give you clay. That's what this machine is. It is a steam powered machine that bores the ground to give you clay. Alright, clay combines with the sand pretty easily, so I will also wash sand. And do that exactly. Sand needs soil. And water. And to have its tailings destroyed. There we go. Sand and beautiful clay. That is going into the kickalk plantations, along with the kickalk seeds. Oh, right, I didn't bring... I didn't bring anything for the kickalks, so let alone the seeds. But, yeah, this will be the kickalk seeds. The Mark 1 seeds. It'll pull in kickalk... Actually, reverse that. It'll pull in kickalk and out with the seeds, I guess. There'll be a splitter and it'll do its thing. Alright, that'll be that. That continues. That'll go there, I guess. That'll go out. Whatever. That'll go up. Seeds will go up. Kickalk. I need 4 of the plantations. Put stuff away I'm not using. Kickalk. Alright, you are doing that recipe. Again, water. Always need water. And oh my gosh, it is that time. Hey, it's the time. I'm going to finish this logistics work. And then call it. Get the power to and get the splitter on the actually that's just kickalk. So get the prioritized splitter on the kickalk out. Guess that'll happen there. I said there. And we'll be good. That'll be that. Just power. Yeah. Yay. Kickalk. It's happened. We've got the kickalk, and then the food will be next. The food will be next. I'll have to bring the fish in the tin and more steam and salt. Fish tin salt will come from the trains all the way down, and meat and kickalk probably will share the belt feeding in. Fish has to split. I need the ash production, and then the Korlex will exist. And then Korlex shall exist. I also need the milk barrels. And then unbarrel the milk, and then convert it, mix it with sulfuric. and go all the way up the chain until casein. Yay! Stuff things. We're getting there. We have sort of started to build the thing today. So, besides sort of starting to build the thing today, what was today's story? As I start to end things off here, now that we have reached the end of the stream for today. Well, the day started with Renea and discussion about what the heck are we going to do about Renea, considering that, well, A, the upgrade path to the Mark II is now basically blocked by Dingrits in the end, so what's really the point of trying to get any amounts of starting material through this recipe, which also changed to now need stone wool instead of what it used to require. But it doesn't require actual, like, seeds, the Renea seeds anymore. Oddly enough, it requires Renea, but not the seeds. And from there, it was discussion about, well, Renea has this really bad ratio, actually, of the actual Renea to seeds. You only gain 2 seeds for the Renea that you put in. It's 5 into 7 seeds. So really the value has to come from the growing of the Renea itself, trying to get as many Renea out for the seeds that you put in, because you're sort of stuck with just the one 5 to 7 ratio here of Renea into seeds. So the more Renea that you can get out of those seeds, the better off you'll be. This particular recipe that was giving me the initial supply of Renea, it only gives 4 on its output, and we have access to one better recipe that will give us 8 for 5 seeds. 8 whole Renea for 5 seeds, and it costs manure in a 1-to-1 ratio. 8 manure into 8 Renea. So that's not good either. But anything else that's better, everything else that's better, is going to require this fungus called a Yadel. The Yadel, in order to start making them at all, is going to require the 3rd alien sample type. Alien sample tier 3, which requires Arthurian eggs, which Arthurians are going to require cottonguts, which is what we're making this Renea for in the end. This is why we need the Renea, is so that we are able to make the better cottongut food to make the better cottongut studs, the Mark II cottongut studs. But if the Renea is going to be this much of a pain in the rear to even get small amounts of, we may just go and do a Mark I build of the cottonguts to get into the Arthurians, which seem to lock a lot of stuff. They seem to gatekeep a lot of stuff with the Arthurians, and, well, the Arthurians are gate kept by cottonguts. So we need that setup going before worrying about upgrading to Mark II. However, cottonguts, all the good recipes will require bedding. Bedding requires grod and yotoi and fiber. And fiber. And I've been meaning to get around to doing the sugar-based fiber recipe, which has a really high output for what you put in of kickalk. So that uses not just the sugar, but also a product of Korlex processing. So that led us to this out here with this build for Korlex. So we're doing Korlex for raw fiber, for bedding, which will also require builds of grod and of yotoi. That will lead into cottongut Mark I's at scale. And then that will lead into Arthurians. And then the Arthurians are going to allow us to get into much better Renea processing. That'll make them more viable to do the upgraded cotton gut food and the upgraded cotton guts as a result of that, the Mark II cotton gut stuff. And we'll also unlock the ability to make a whole bunch of other new creatures like Scrondrix and Dingrits and Yadles and all that good stuff to have for other things. So it opens up a big chunk of content by doing that. So that's the progression. That's what's coming up ahead, and that's what we've done today. So with that, I would like to thank you all for watching. This has been Otaku Showboat. If you have been watching the VODs on YouTube and have been enjoying the series thus far, please be sure to comment, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and if you are so inclined, head on over to twitch.tv/OtakuShowboat to leave a follow to be notified when I go live Sundays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays from 10 a.m. to approximately 1 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time. You can do all of the social stuff through the links below the video, including supporting Pyandon's mods development at patreon.com/Pyandon, and myself at patreon.com/OtakuShowboat. I will, of course, be back on Thursday, where we will be wrapping up, ideally, this Korlex build into raw fiber and planning out the Grodd and Yotoi. Because we still have to, plan out proper Grodd and Yotoi. I think this is just going to sit here as is on this really, 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 really low output build for the bedding, and I will have a separate, much better bedding build for it, but we won't be getting into that until next time. I, of course, will leave you hanging on the tech that's just about to pop, and see you all next time.